Now, what we think, as she said, there are several cases that have been filed in the federal court where judges have found the executive action or executive orders unconstitutional. You must have heard of the DEI executive orders, right? The executive orders cutting funds to an organization having programs supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those orders have been found unconstitutional for several reasons. Yes. Violation of equal protection rights, violation of First Amendment rights, violation of procedural due process rights. This action taken without advance notice, without an opportunity to contest the procedure, to appeal. But mostly, a recurring theme that I'm truly appreciating from the federal judges is finding that the action of the executive is, and this is a technical phrase, capricious and arbitrary. Capricious and arbitrary. You know what that means? The court has spoken about this. It means that the action is taken unreasonably, without consideration of the major consequences on our rights, and against the will of Congress. So if you are interested in following and reading and being informed as you are, you can go to this website. It's called justsecurity.org, and it's collecting, so justsecurity.org. It is collecting all the actions that have been filed against the administration, and I've concluded with an opinion that is also accessible to you so you can read. And these opinions are textbook opinions. They're so informative and clear. So the DEI executive orders have been found unconstitutional. The gender identity executive orders, cutting funds to ideology, cutting funds to all the programs supporting gender ideology. It could be research, it could be medical treatment, it could be, you name it. Again, for violation of First Amendment rights, for equal protection rights, discrimination based on sex, and procedural due process rights, and more. You know, truly I could talk about this forever. But that is essentially what I say, as our Congresswoman said, it's litigation over legislation. Judges are doing so much, and the Supreme Court won't be able to keep up, or won't be willing to keep up, because there are politics there as well, you know? So get informed, fight for your rights, find the organization that can enforce them, and push forward for more and more litigation. We're all available here to help.
All right, you know, and I just saw this morning. You know, when Trump came to Congress for the joint address, AME Kamlager-Dove was there, and she kind of gave him a slight side eye. She was nice, I guess, I don't know, but she was like, she pursed her lips. And you know, the MAGA people went after her. And they said, look at her, she's not showing proper fealty. Go after her. She's turning into a liberal. So this is how they're doing it. And I mean, you know, she ain't no liberal, y'all. And more questions. This is from an unnamed source, okay. What about our American citizens who are displaced? Can they get your help? Yes, absolutely. If you know of any of these folks, any Americans who are displaced, have them call my office, 323-965-1422. You know, and I have been talking about this a lot, especially because I'm on foreign affairs. We have so many people that are working all around the world. They're in the embassies, they're in the missions, they are helping folks take malaria pills and access clean water. They are helping folks who are refugees, who are running from ethnic conflict. And now they're stuck, okay? Because DOGE and Trump, when they froze funding for USAID, what that means is they stopped paying vendors who were growing food growing grain that they then sell, farmers, that they sell to the United States, that we then use and give to other countries, and that we give to refugee camps. So there are so many farmers who are now screwed up, if I can say that in the sanctuary, who are in bad ways because of these freezes. They also froze the employees. They fired the employees, which includes the people who would buy the plane tickets to help the Americans come back home. So you have folks stuck in other countries, they can't get to their families, and they can't get their families back here, okay? So we actually, I had a talk with Peter Morocco, who I call the Secretary of State, even though he's not, but he's the one actually doing all the stuff. And if you look at Marco Rubio's body language, you would agree with me. And I actually did ask him about this. And I said, give me the list of names. I want to know. I want to know who's been terminated. I want to know the companies and the farmers that have been impacted. And I want to know where the mistakes were made. You know, he huffed and hawed and hemmed and was very mean. Well, he wasn't mean, but he was like, I don't have to give you that information. And I said, yes, you do have to give me that information. And by the end of the day, we had the information. So, we're trying to help American baby dolls and our friends. So if you know of these folks, please call or have them call or get in touch with us, because I am working with the ranking member and other members on that committee to make sure that we're not forgetting about our folks wherever they are. All right, another question for Michael. What strategies do you recommend? How do you convince a diehard MAGA about the deleterious effects their support has? Yeah, all that. All that. You know, it's a lot of emotion out there, but I'm here to tell you, even the people wearing the fuzzy red hats are being impacted by these decisions. Because I didn't read no executive order that said, if you wear a MAGA hat, you get your veterans benefit, but if you weren't, you don't. So when you are talking to these folks, just share the facts. I know nobody believes facts. I went on judiciary and I had a huge argument with Jim Jordan, and he said, what's the fact? What's true? The fact is, you drink orange juice with Mountain Dew together. That's why you're wild. But just, you know, say, hey, my eggs cost $15. How much do your eggs cost? You know, hey, they're too much. You know, hey, my gas is going up. Is your gas getting cheaper? Hey, we're not even buying lumber because of tariffs. Hey, they're taking our stuff off the shelves in other countries. You know, just talk about what people are seeing and feeling. And you don't have to go hard in the paint on Donald Trump, but there are 33%, if not, that might be even too high, people who say it's okay for Elon Musk to be doing what he's doing. So talk to them about that. If you like your president, that's fine, but tell your president to be the president. And don't give the presidency to Elon Musk, because who is this man? And he's trying to raid the coffers and steal all of the money so he can continue to blow up spaceships in the air. And every spaceship that blows up in the sky are houses and jobs and lower costs and benefits that we are not getting. So if you want waste and abuse to be addressed, as we all do, then have your president demand of his dodgy worker to show the real receipts. That's how you talk to the MAGAs, you know? I mean, they've given me a little time thing, but that's how I would do it. And you might have to do it a couple of times. Okay, next question. Are we doing next question or are we doing the polls?
We're doing microphone.
Microphone check.
Okay, we have one right here.
Check.
Right here. Please raise your hands.
Introduce yourself first, please.
My name is Wendy Salea. I work for the Los Angeles Mission, and I can't like it's too much, but it's never too big for God. Nothing is too big for God. And so I just want to thank you, and that's all I'm
Thank you so much for doing this in the community and thank the speakers. I thought it was. Yeah? Okay. Thank you so much for doing this in our community. And I have a question for the professor or the lawyer. The Constitution, I'm scared. As I'm sure a lot of us are. And we hear about all these different things that are going on, and we have to file litigation on everything that's going on. What happens if he violates the orders of the courts and pushes us into constitutional crisis?
That is a great question. There are several scenarios that we can think of. Eventually, as our Congresswoman said, this situation will go to the Supreme Court, right? So if he fails to comply with the order of the lower courts, that's what we're considering right now. So we're watching, and it will be up to the Supreme Court to find that something has happened, there has been a violation of the Constitution. I have faith that would not be the case. The Supreme Court says it's okay. And I'll tell you why. You know, the story goes back to Marbury versus Madison. This is one of the foundational opinions of our system, rendered at the very beginning of the Union, in the early years of the 1800s, where the court said, the judges have the power to say when one of the branches of the government violates the Constitution and compel compliance. It's interesting that principle, the power of judicial review, it's actually not in the text of the Constitution, but it has never been questioned. The survival of the system depends on the court enforcing that principle against potential for dictatorship and whatnot. So I do have faith that if anything like that happens, the court will stop. And I have to tell you, something we have already seen, because the president has, and it's related to what we were discussing before, USA ID and the freezing of the funds and the court then ordering the president to pay. So the case went up to the Supreme Court. The president was not complying. So the court found the president in contempt, found not the president but the executive in contempt. And eventually the executive backed up. So we have seen already a situation of tension, but the executive didn't push it to the extreme. And I go back to what I said before. The executive is talking. This is what our Congresswoman said before. What is he talking about? What is he saying? She was trying to, I don't understand. So it might be sometimes much ado about nothing. Of course, the press is interested in feeding us with scary feelings. The president is in contempt, a constitutional crisis. But on one hand, I think that the executive would not push it that far because he knows that the Supreme Court might not, stay silent. After all, the Supreme Court is very happy about its own power. This is a fight between a power and another. And the court is very, very happy to protect its power. This is a long story of affirmation of a power. And we have, we've been skeptical in the past when the court gave itself more and more power. Now it's a time when I'm like, I'm not that sure that that's a bad idea, you know?
So, Trump has said that he will obey the law. He has said that. Now, he's also said that he would appeal. And that's also why they're trying to pump a lot of judges. I don't know a judge that likes to give up its power. And the hope, because a lot of it is faith, and a lot of us also push back. And you see that in his administration, they've tried to go to the courts, and when they've gotten pushback, they've come back and they're trying to retool things because they do want to win in the courts, because they do need legitimacy. They do need legitimacy. So the reason why Donald Trump brought Musk into the cabinet meeting to tell the cabinet members that Trump was in fact in charge and not Musk is because a number of the lawsuits that are being filed are saying that DOGE is actually the one running the show, and that is illegal and unconstitutional. So they're trying to say some things so that they have more standing in the courts. Now, if he says, I don't care what the Supreme Court says, I'm gonna do my own thing, then he becomes illegitimate. So they do feel like they want to work within the law. What they're trying to do is push the law to the outer limits so that they have more power. But ultimately, if the Supreme Court agrees with him, then the Supreme Court is saying, I am powerless. And they will never do that. They will never do that. So what we have to keep doing is saying, do you want something that's unconstitutional? Because that also means, if he doesn't have to follow the Constitution, then neither do we. And then you have created anarchy. And there's no way to justify that. But we have to keep making sure that the lines are very clear. Now, they have a lot of lawyers, so they know how to wiggle within the rules too. And that's why it's so much litigation happening. But that is a slope that even they can't come back to, because what they are saying is everything they're doing is legal. So we're going to keep pushing them on the legality front. But truthfully, all hell will break loose, and they will lose too. And the country will lose, and then the world will lose. And you know, he's only a winner, he's not a loser. So we got 2 questions on healthcare. So Louise, this is your cue up. And then, so one is, how do the executive orders affect my Medicare, and what can the state do? And then what is the strategy that came from SSA? And then Darren Harris said, what is the strategy to protect Medicaid, Medicare, and the ACA? How can we stop Musk and RFK? Well, maybe we should give RFK some more bears to play with. But you know, I was being funny, but not. In his joint address, where he talked for over 2 hours, he never talked about Medicare at all. Because he knows that's a third rail for so many constituents. They do want to cut it by $880 billion with a B, but they don't want to talk about it. That's why they're not having their town halls. We have to talk about it. I wrote an article about my aunt who died. She had multiple sclerosis. She was in a long-term care facility. She had an open wound. My mother said that when she would check on her, sometimes she could see right to the bone. She was on Medicaid. The facility did not treat her right. Medicaid pays for ombudsmen to go to our facilities to check on our loved ones when the caregivers can't do it, to make sure that they are doing what they can to help our loved ones and their patients. Why is it that we have seniors with dementia who are drinking chemicals instead of juice because they don't know the difference? Why are they going to sleep in soiled underwear because no one is turning them? And if you cut Medicaid, then you also close down the community clinics and you close down hospitals. And those are also jobs. Those are also jobs. And they're not just blue jobs. They're American jobs. So we have a responsibility to talk about how Medicare and how Medicaid and how the ACA saves. It saves your life if you have a job to go to so that you can pay your rent. It saves your life if you can go to the store and put food on your table so that your family can eat. And it saves your life if somebody is being paid to take care of your loved ones. We have so many doctors that get reimbursed through Medicaid, okay, and Medi-Cal. and 60% almost of this district is on Medicaid. We have the 4th largest Medicaid enrollee district in the country. In the country, y'all, us. So we have an obligation to share our stories about Medicaid and Medicare so that people understand it's not just some word, but it's about life-saving resources and pushback. Because you don't talk about something you're ashamed to talk about. That's what the Republicans ain't talking about. So we gotta force them to talk about it. So we just put it on
I'll hear your name that first. Because that definitely deserved. I think the important, you said Medicare is a political, third rail, right? They need to see that Medicaid is a third rail too. So on our November ballot, Prop 35 passed with overwhelming support. All but one county in California passed Prop 35 with overwhelming support. And the messaging around that was Medi-Cal. It was Medi-Cal and community clinics. Those were the two things that pulled the best, and that's what won Prop 35. So, and that's Central Valley, that's Orange County, that's Inland Empire, and so it's really important for us to make sure that those folks who also maybe won by just a hair and kept their county or their district red, they need to know what their constituents feel about Medicaid and see that that is a political third rail as well. Absolutely. As far as the impact of, it's the executive orders at present have not impacted Medicaid. It's really this threat of the budget cuts. And it's not the full frontal assault that we had 8 years ago, just repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. Now it's these more nefarious, insidious attacks of saying, we're going to reduce the amount of federal funds that we put into your program. We're going to bury you with paperwork. You want to stay on this program? You're going to have to recertify as your employee over and over and over again. And it's not just that you, the enrollee, are going to have to do it. It's the caseworker at the community health center. It's the DPSS worker working for the county. All of those resources need to be put to bear to keep folks on Medicaid. So it is the budget. It is the budget, and we are watching this closely because they're going into committee hearings now, trying to find that $880 billion in savings. And we absolutely need to make sure that folks know in the red districts that they see faces of Medicaid like mine. Medicaid saved my life. I had $22,000 in medical debt, and it covered it. And without that, I wouldn't have gone to grad school. I wouldn't be a homeowner. I wouldn't be an employer. I wouldn't be a taxpayer. So we need to make sure that people know that the faces of Medicaid are all of us. And this is an opportunity program, and we need to make sure we communicate. You all got friends or family in Orange County, Inland Empire, Kern County, you name it, make sure they know about this too.
And I'm here to tell you that if there are, when the budget does come up and they're cutting any of these programs, it's a no from me on the vote. Can you guys hear me? All right, you're going to take them in a group so we can get through all the questions and then.
Yes, 10 questions, and then any other question, our staff will be here to follow up. So raise your hands, 10 questions, here we go. All right.
This is like ground.
All right, we have one right here.
My name is Sally, and as citizens, how can we help?
Okay, next question, I'm going to try not to crack with that one. 1 second.
Hi, I'm Tammy Anderson, and I'm at USC, so I think the Congresswoman is my alumna. So fine. Anyway, I wanted to ask, is it possible for the state of California to keep our tax dollars here in the state and not send it to DC?
Hey,
Bless it.
Good morning, thank you so much for coming and having us here today, appreciate it. I just want to say Medicare for all, we solved everything between Medicaid, Medicare, and the ACA. Let's stop going around the edges. Let's work for Medicare for all, universal health care. This is the only country civilized world, it doesn't have universal health care for every one of our citizens. We need this now. I mean, I use Medicare to help me with my mom. I appreciate Medicare. I appreciate Medicare. But my question is, Al Green stood up and protested against someone that has no decorum, has no respect for anyone, and yet the Democrats sat on their hands. What is wrong with the Democratic Party that we cannot fight? I don't care if we're in the minority. I don't care if we don't feel like we don't have power. We have power in people. Get out there and get the people out there. You cannot beat Musk and you cannot beat Trump with money. So stop sending me emails about money. I want you to get out there and set the stage for Medicare for all, so we can all have Medicare. And we can stop this Democratic takeover. He's ruining our country. He's going to change us into a dictatorship. I'm a survivor of the American concentration camps. I was in Jerome, Arkansas. I know what it's like to lose your rights and your citizenship. We will all do it. We will all lose ours if we don't stop the maniac in the White House.
I sympathize with all this interest in the health care, but I'm sick at heart about Ukraine, and that Trump is throwing Ukraine under the bus and making policy with Putin. It makes me sick.
And we're gonna do next one from here, okay?
Carlos Marroquin. My concern right now is $230 billion in SNAP programs being cut. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lee Williams. I'm a carpenter for the Western States Region of Carpenters. My question is posed to labor. With the light of the cost of materials going up through the tariffs, do you know anything about the security of the labor? Yes, okay. As far as the taking space and adequate things of that nature?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I'm gonna take them, the baby will go last, because that was a great question. Tariffs and labor unions. Well, I don't know. Hard to say. It's been ricocheting back and forth with the tariffs. Canada, China, and Mexico have been pushing back. Well, not China, but he's been nicer to China. But it is going to affect a lot of things. And he is anti-labor. Okay? The reason why he's firing employees is because he does not care about collective bargaining. He does not care about unions. And so my ask is, if you are in a union, especially if you are in a union that maybe stayed silent in the last election, or maybe if you are in a union that was very vocal in last election, make your voices heard with your membership so that he understands what these tariffs are doing to this workforce. That is very important. $230 billion cut to SNAP. Yes, we will be voting on a continuing resolution. As I said, I'm probably going to be a no because they are cutting a lot of domestic programs to help fund whatever with this $4.5 trillion tax cut, basically. But we are pushing. The good thing is that Republicans are quietly also talking about SNAP benefits, and we know that in red states they are disproportionately reliant on SNAP benefits. So our hope is in the quiet discussions that they have in their own conference, they will not do it. Now, Trump also came out and said no more hatchets, scalpels to the budget, so that also means that he's feeling the heat. But our obligation right now is to continue to tell the stories about how these cuts are hurting people, regular people, red fuzzy hat people, so that they know. Because also Elon Musk has said that he's going to be funding ads that tout how great all of these actions have been. So we have a lot of work ahead of us to cut through that noise, but I'm certainly against the snap cuts, and we've been talking to, I actually try to talk to there's like a bipartisan prayer breakfast, you know, and they pray before they cut. So I have been quietly talking to some of those folks about, I like the copy of the Bible that they read, about how to not do that. Ukraine knew what to do, absolutely. You know, I got so many texts that after that press conference of people who said how embarrassing that was, and in fact, it's Trump pushing us to the brink of World War III. And all of the, you know, LA County has resettled tens of thousands of Ukrainians. And in fact, we get money to do that. That will be cut off. Those people will be deported to go back to where? To a country that is in the middle of a war, and Putin has already said that he wants to continue to do these land grabs. The European Union, NATO, has stepped up because they see that we can't be trusted as an ally. There are so many Republicans, in fact, who support Ukraine, who recognize that Putin is a bad guy. I was in my judiciary hearing, and one of the Republicans said, Russia, Russia, Russia. Why do you keep talking about Russia? Well, it's because you're trying to turn the United States into Russia. You know, Russia actually doesn't have a jury trial. They don't allow for juries, okay? The judges decide everything based on what the oligarchs want. They don't have a democracy. So once again, Republicans, we have told Republicans, hey, you push. He's mad at us. He came into our house and started saying how come we're clapping for him. So he's mad at us. You have to carry the water. And so the hope is that that will continue to happen. Al Green, bless Al Green. You know, I don't know why people voted to censure him. I was on a plane trying to come back here to talk to HUD so that we could get some money, and the HUD man was mad at me, so okay, whatever. But I support Al Green. I also recognize that not every Democratic district looks like ours. There are some people who ran and they're in a purple seat, and Trump won by a lot. And so those folks have to walk a different line than I do. You all get mad when I don't set people's hair on fire and tackle people. You know what I mean? And so I have to listen to that. So I decide, okay, I'm going to tackle somebody on Tuesday, but then I'm going to give them a Band-Aid on Wednesday. So I respect that people have to figure out a way to do the things that their constituents want. I was very clear about why I walked out and why I stood with Al Green and why I stood up against Donald Trump and Elon Musk at that joint address, is because I had to protest the things I was not hearing, just as equally as I had to protest the bad things that I was hearing. And it is important that we all stand together. We have to recognize how the tent is very big for us, but we also have to focus on the main thing. Yes, Medicare for all, absolutely. I've signed on to the bill. Yes, I wish we could keep tax dollars in California. I think that would get kind of complicated. I suggest we save the money until the bitter end so we can hold out, because it's actually important that we need to get our disaster aid money. But that would also probably not be legal to do that too. So I can get pushed back in the California delegation. And how can we help? We can help by doing this. Tell your stories. Share the anger. Motivate your neighbors and your friends. Continue to pour into me. I can't tell you how sad I was this week. I was mad at my colleagues. I was certainly mad at the president. Mad at the country. And we are all going to feel like that from time to time. And how can we help is we have to tell our stories. And we have to use our voices. And we have to use our vote. It is the one thing that each of us have, regardless of how much we make or where we live. I feel like it is dark right now. And we are crossing a raging river. And there are rocks in the river, and there is sludge in the river, and we cannot see. will get light. I also know that I will not be able to cross that river alive if I don't lock arms with the person next to me. If I lock arms with the person next to me and just keep walking forward, arm in arm. Worry about who it is after we cross. Worry about how they think after we cross. But keep going forward. And going forward means telling the truth. Going forward means practicing acts of civil disobedience. Going forward means connecting with your neighbor. Going forward means raising up your Constitution. Going forward means telling truth to power. And going forward means recognizing what you have done, when you have been silent, when you have been scared. And to figure out how to be okay with being uncomfortable. Because we are in uncomfortable times. And it is dark. And the water is raging. But I believe that the people that I am in the foxhole with, the people that I have locked arms with, like you, will allow us to be successful. So I am going to
So sorry, she has an interview.
I'm going to thank you all. I'm going to ask you all to continue to call us, share with us ideas. I can't tell you how many times I get email or text from you all saying, please do this. Why isn't this happening? Can you do this? If I don't respond, I'm still taking a note and I'm asking leadership. I'm talking to my friends. I'm doing it. I am hearing you loud and clear because you are the reason that I get up every day. You are the reason why I get on that plane, and you are a reason why I fight with my colleagues. It is always, always, always for you. So thank you so much.